The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Good evening and welcome to Today on One. I'm Isai Sipunga. In the news tonight, students to benefit from Cycling Towards Sustainability program. Zambezi youth commemorates World Children's Day. Farmers trained and encouraged to practice more sustainable agriculture, and Roundup, Business on One, Comments Corner, Sports and the Weather. E-Bikes for Africa recently hosted their second Cycling Towards Sustainability program in the capital. The program included MVA first responder training, basic road behavior, and basic bicycle maintenance and repair skills.
E-Bikes for Africa recently hosted their second Cycling Towards Sustainability program in the capital. The program included MVA first responder training, basic road behavior, and basic bicycle maintenance and repair skills.
So we're here today at the final event of the three months project we've launched for the student cycling in Windhoek. Our project is called Cycling Towards Sustainability. We're a number of different partners from public and private sector, as well as government, City of Windhoek. And as you can see behind me, we've got a really nice turnout of students, which we're super proud about because we selected 50, and it seems in the end we've got almost all 50 of them that stuck through the 3-month project, where they were taught how to cycle, how to safely use the roads, maintain their bicycles, and hopefully in future will continue using bicycles as their main form of transport.
I'm an Internet E-Bikes for Africa. We are the ones that organized this event for the students to promote sustainability and e-mobility. Hence, we took 50 students from NAST, UNAM and IUM to teach them how to cycle for 3 months, September, October and November. And here we are today, the final event, and these students know how to cycle and they are going to cycle to school.
Students also had cycling awareness rides to and from their respective schools.
Firstly, I learned how to cycle, given I didn't know how to cycle. I learned more about road safety and how to behave on the road when I'm cycling, given it's not safe for cyclists. And today we tackled the distance from the corner of Shanghai Street to Nast. The distance was quite vast, the experience overwhelming. I came across a few challenges, but then I enjoyed the entire experience.
With everything that I've experienced, I would say that it's a good experience. It's basically just to show that the safety and precautions when riding a bicycle on the roads, the things that you have to look out for and the signals that you have to give when taking part or when you're riding a bicycle on the road.
Councillor Joseph Wapingene from City of Windhoek commended the students for tackling the project and characterized them as pioneers.
Dear students, remember today you are as a pioneer, as part of the first group of persons who will begin and will help us, the City of Windhoek, to develop our cycling culture. You are preparing the way for others to follow. You are showing others that cycling is not just a sport, but is also a mode of transport. We thank the University of Namibia, the International University of Management, as well as the Namibia University of Science and Technology for their willingness to participate in this student cycling training program, together with other stakeholders, namely e-bikes for Africa, KIZ, Namibia Private Sector's Road Forum, Physically Effective Youth, Motor Vehicle Accident Fund, Namibia Cycling Federation.
The Cycling Towards Sustainability program will be giving each of the students a bicycle at the commencement of the 2022 school year, so the students will be able to cycle to and from school.
OK Furniture's biggest Black Friday sale ever is now on. It's 7 days of never-before-seen savings. Like this 43-inch Hisense Full HD Digital LED TV for $4,990. Save $1,509 and save $3,009 on this 152-centimeter Restonic Posture Rest base set. Now only $3,990. Don't miss out. Deals only valid until 28 November at OK Furniture.
And even with grief, even with COVID and the pandemic, there's so much anxiety and fear.
It's a time of unification now. It's a time where people should leave the past behind and stop accusing and blaming and whatever, because everybody's anxious, is hysterical, we are losing our rational minds.
They don't see the need for them to go to Katutura, but Katutura now become the heaven. So I think it's also a try time for our government to see to it that our state hospitals are made to a standard where we can really take care of our people.
I was surprised last week, Dr. Njaba, we had 2 psychiatrists on the panel, and they made a comment that there's only 10 psychiatrists in this whole country. Would that be your estimation?
Of which only 4 in the States.
Yeah.
The rest 6, I think, is in private.
Observed globally on 20 November annually, the World Children's Day is a global day of action for children by children. On this day, UNICEF advocates raises awareness and funds for the most pressing issues facing children. UNICEF representatives visited the Zambezi region and marched with pupils from Mavuluma Secondary School, Caprivi Senior Secondary School and Kizitu College to launch World Children's Day.
We want a lot of things, but most importantly, the right to education. We want the right to education. We want everything to be provided for the Namibian children. We want each and every child to feel equal, and we want these children to be able to have the materials and necessities to use in those schools. Most of the schools are lacking materials, and we want equality to this.
This year's theme is Kids Take Over and Go Blue. It also marks the anniversary of the adoption of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. 150 children under the leadership of child parliamentarians from Katima Mulilo in the Zambezi region marched to the regional governor's office to hand over a communique highlighting motions agreed to at the Children's Parliament session. The children were made aware of the role they play in decision-making by the Zambezi region governor, Lawrence Sampofu, who highlighted how much the region has gained through the involvement of children. Sampofu ensured the continued participation of children in consultative processes. This year's World Children's Day happens in the year that UNICEF celebrates its 75th anniversary as an organization.
And through the Convention of the Rights of the Child, many policies were enacted by the country. One such policy is the Child Care and Protection Act, which clearly defines on how government is going to look after its most vulnerable, the children. As we are gathered here, we have four members of the Children's Parliament. You might be aware that every region selects 4 children that goes and represent them at the Children's Parliament, which takes place every second year in Bulletin. The Children's Parliament session that we had in July coincided with the voluntary national report on sustainable development goals. Namibia is among one of the countries in the world that said, look, we want to monitor ourselves. Therefore, can you do an evaluation on what we are doing, how we are faring when it comes to the sustainable development goals? So through the National Planning Commission, the director, the minister of the National Planning Commission did a presentation at the September UN General Assembly. And we had few of the children's parliamentarians who also participated during that submission at the General Assembly. So we want, although this is a national one, with a proposal coming from all the regions, we want the Zambezi Regional Council to also have a copy. In that, you will see the key issues that children brought forward. And as said at the Children's Parliament, these are the things that we want our leaders at regional level to look at and work with us to make sure that our lives are made better, to make sure that at the regional level we can prosper and develop to our full potential.
15 children from the Zambezi region joined 60 other children from Zimbabwe, Botswana and Zambia. They took part in a panel comprising 4 heads of states from Botswana, Namibia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, UNICEF Regional Director for Eastern and Southern African regions, and UNICEF country representatives on their desired future.
I think One Africa Television has been a maverick of creating space for local content producers and artists as well, availing a platform for them to showcase their talent. They went out of their way to really embrace the Namibian culture, and that is something that I take my hat off as an artist and also as a producer. Happy birthday, One Africa, and may you keep doing the do's.
OK Furniture's biggest Black Friday sale ever is now on. It's 7 days of never-before-seen savings. Like this 43-inch Hisense Full HD Digital LED TV for $4,990. Save $1,509. And save $3,009 on this 152cm Restonic Posture Rest base set. Now only $3,990. Don't miss out. Deals only valid until 28 November at OK Furniture.
In and out of prison, dealing and doing drugs. Then a drug deal went wrong. Joseph was robbed, handcuffed, and scared straight out of the business. For 6 months, he roamed the streets as a homeless addict. Then one night, in a baseball dugout, Joseph met a stranger who totally changed his life.
I stand in awe of the power of the God who's our creator. And Terry and I sit here on this program, and the Lord speaks to us, and it's the word of knowledge. It's one of the manifestations of the Holy Spirit.
Something not always godly.
Not always, that's right. That's right. Well, there's a lot of negative voices out there, as we know.
Yes, there are.
And
so how do you know when it's God saying, Perry, I want to speak this to you right now?
And sometimes you don't know. And I think you pray over it and you think about it. And sometimes you just, a lot of times I'll just envision, as you and I are talking here today, I may envision that I'm here talking with God. And how am I supposed to address this issue?
Okay. Realize Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is the same for you right now. So let's pray. Let's call on his name and let him do the rest for you. Let's pray.
The Namibian Nature Foundation hosted a workshop funded by GIZ aimed at promoting and training small-scale farmers on the importance of organic agriculture in Namibia. This project was initiated to increase nutrition security for families, grow the number of organic farmers in the country, and increase the number of organic food produced in Namibia in the target areas.
The training took place in Gongola constituency and the Mayani conservancy with a total of 30 participants. Amber Knott, who is the manager for the Knowledge Center for Organic Agriculture in Southern Africa, laid out the main focus of the project.
The workshop is focusing on not irrigated plants, but in the field, so mainly maize, and how you can plant, you can intercrop, and how it will provide more food security for the people here. It will take probably a year for their, the plots to change, but it focuses on the health of the soil and how that helps productivity. So therefore you get more plants, more maize where you can try and sell, but also have more food for the rest of the year.
Food security and environmental health remain the focal point in this project, as these two factors are the drivers for plants' life, humans and animals. Wipke Volkman, a facilitator from the Namibian Nature Foundation, explained how this type of farming will not only help with producing quality crops, but will reduce exposure to natural disasters and climate change.
To help people grow more food from their land with rain only in this workshop. And we know that climate change demands that we are far more water-wise with our planting. So we are introducing a new technique of combining many different crop plants, species, to grow together. It's called the pigeon pea alley system. We learned this from Zambia. And so far people are very interested. We are also conducting a trial where farmers will be able to compare different treatments of soil and different treatments of seeds. So we will become scientists, observing what we do and what the yield is, and among the, with this year's raining conditions. So we are also introducing biochar, enriched biochar, charged biochar, to see what that does for the water holding capacity and the fertility of the soil.
During the workshop, farmers learned about the crop diversification, the use of organic manure, soil cover, and minimum soil disturbance in order to produce more than enough for farmers to feed their families and quality crops to sell for an income. The next training will take place in Rundu.
And even with grief, even with COVID and the pandemic, there's so much anxiety and fear.
It's a time of unification now. It's a time where people should leave the past behind and stop accusing and blaming and whatever, because everybody's anxious, is hysterical. We are losing our rational minds.
They don't see the need for them to go to Katutura, but Katutura now become the heaven. So I think it's also a trial time for our government to see to it that our state hospitals are made to a standard where we can really take care of our people.
I was surprised last week, Dr. Njaba, we had 2 psychiatrists on the panel, and they made a comment that there's only 10 psychiatrists in this whole country. Would that be your estimation?
Of which only 4 in the States.
Yeah.
The rest 6, I think, is in private.
In other leading stories, the Namibia Integrated Landscape Approach for Enhancing Livelihoods and Environmental Governance to Eradicate Poverty project handed over 10 grants under 3 investment windows, namely crop and rangeland management, agroforestry and nature-based enterprise. The grants have a combined monetary value of 6,828,736 Namibia dollars. The governor of the Kunene region, Honorable Marius Shea, says he is confident that if the project is successfully implemented, it will result in a consequent paradigm shift of rural communities in the target landscapes and subsequent positive project impacts for the region and other regions where it will be implemented. It aims to reverse environmental degradation and maximize sustainable livelihoods based on nature through integrated management of Namibia's rural landscapes. The project grant facility highlights the Environmental Investment Fund of Namibia's and Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism's commitment towards enhancing livelihoods and environmental governance through natural resource management. It further highlights the efforts made under multilateral agreements towards addressing Namibia's development challenges.
Early this morning, woke up holding my head, hearing my heartbeat all night long. Shades of this motel keeping me in bed, reading the news, just trying to stay strong. I need to just get up, take a deep breath, keep it together, 'cause it's a beautiful day. Sun on my face, feeling okay. Don't let it get away. It's a beautiful day. Feel so proud, screaming out loud. It's a beautiful day. Beautiful day. Feel so proud, screaming out loud. It's a beautiful day.
Joseph Shifeni standing by for today's Business on One and Economic Indicators.
Welcome to this evening's edition of Business on One. I'm Joseph Shifeni. In June this year, the central bank revealed that items repossessed by commercial banks had a market value of $251 million, of which $230 million were properties. This comes as many Namibians were unable to repay their loans due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the economy. This week, I spoke to some young people who say that they want to shake up the property market. A group of young people that acquired land in Brakwater area 13 kilometers north of Windhoek say that they plan to enter the property market with a unique approach that could make housing affordable for the average Namibian. On a 50-hectare piece of land, they target nearly 800 units.
We've looked and studied around what the property market has to offer. And on an average, your ordinary Namibian the only land that is guaranteed to them would be their grave. So therefore, we sat around with a team of professionals to see how do we best address or how do we best do an intervention within the property market in making sure that at least we do a significant contribution to an ordinary Namibian. So who is this ordinary Namibian that we're talking about? We're talking about a security guard. We're talking about a domestic worker. We're talking about the young professionals, the media practitioners, people who basically can afford to have a decent life, but because of the market forces or what we call the hand of the market between those that have the means of production and those that must provide those means of production to people, would invincibly use their hands to either benefit themselves or strike that balance in making sure that nobody benefits from it. So what we've then done as a company is that we first and foremost in our operations is that we must find the land that people must be able to see, the land that people must be able to occupy, the land that people must be able to, after all, be settled in. Why do you look for the land first? Because it's important for you to determine the pricing of that land. Because if we were to get land in the city of Windhoek, we are still in the boundaries of the city, but within the confinements of the city's land, then what you then happen is that it would essentially mean that the price would be determined by those that must control the services and infrastructure.
Asked on the payment method, Noyoma said that they will exclude financial institutions and thereby disrupt the current norm.
And the model is that we want to cut out the third-party financing. So third-party financing, in other words, is when you need to go to any financial institution. So we then want you to be able to make the little contribution that you can from your earnings that you have, and that doesn't tie you to a 20-year marriage, 25 years, 30 years, or somebody always looking down on or breathing down your neck, always saying you've not paid your installments, if you've not paid for 30 days, you've not paid for 90 days. After you've not paid for 90 days, then the person comes and repossesses your property that you've been paying for 18 years of your life. So these are the case studies that we have. So we want to say that let's give you access to this land, which is serviced. You have access to your own plan. You have access to your own plot. You can determine when and how you want to construct. But it must be in compliance with the Homeowners Association that will determine the rules of engagement ultimately.
Another representative, Michael Amushelelo, says the initiative is solution-driven towards addressing the housing crisis and led by young people.
Spend almost about 2 billion to 3 billion on alcohol every single year. So now, as opposed to spending that money on alcohol, we then decided to say, why don't we channel some of those funds into building black communities, black-owned estates and so forth. So this is basically as a result of planning, as a result of well thoughts, strategizing and implementation by young black people. Often people look at young people and they say, but yeah, young people are not doing anything, they just want to be roaming the streets, they just want to be drinking and all sorts of things. But we decided to say that we have the energy, we have the ideas. Let us show our leaders that we can actually start our own communities as opposed to waiting for them either to give us shelter through mass housing or their initiatives that are forever taking hundreds of years. So what we're saying is that here is the community that is being started by young people. Today we are here for the unveiling of the billboard so that everybody can see, touch and smell the land. You see, often when we advertise these things on our social media, people often ask us, but where is the land? How can we touch it? Is the land real? Is it really there? So here we are now today on the site for the unveiling of the billboard.
With regards to construction commencement, Amushelelo says overcoming the bureaucracies will be a challenge, but remains optimistic that they will deliver to those that need homes. And that is all we have for you. Do follow us on our social media pages for more on the business front.
Are you a CMAS member? Did you know that should you need medical treatment, you have access to quality private hospitalization, guaranteed specialist treatment in private hospitals across Namibia with Compliment Gap? Compliment Gap is a complimentary product for CMAS members only, which covers the shortfall between what CMAS pays and private hospitals charge. You and your family have more than 2 million in medical gap cover per year at a very affordable price. That's not all. You also have access to emergency evacuation within Namibia and $10 million international travel cover for those unforeseen events abroad. Take the financial burden off your shoulders. Invest in your family's health. SMS GAP to 999 555 and we'll contact you. Terms and conditions apply.
Oranjemund, established in 1936, from which point onwards CDM, now Namdeb Diamond Corporation, provided every service, the schooling, infrastructure and entertainment required for the people of the town. The winds of change is blowing over Oranjemund, which is no longer a closed town.
This ship was commandeered by King Zhao III, and he actually sent a knight to Spain to go and fetch some money from investors, because they wanted to go and fetch some spices in India.
When we were kids, the mine delivered milk, bread, and black paper, black plastic bags for your rubbish, and cleaned your garden, did the maintenance of your house. You had furniture already installed in your house.
It was the silence that connected us all. But the journey started long before that day.
Coach has a gift to be able to spot talent a mile away.
I think the family kind of feeling makes the athletes feel like they want to perform for him.
This is a match made in heaven. We just become one. There was difficult times. I said to the girls, we didn't do all this just for one pump to take us off track. We started talking about this journey, and the way we actually painted that journey is almost perfectly the way it ended.
We thought that maybe one of them will make the final. Both of them made the finals, then the rest is history.
Quiet broken by the firing of the gun, and they're off.
And here comes Christine Bommer in second place. Will they do it today? Oh, of course! 21-81.
This one belongs to us all as one.
Time now for Comments Corner, your daily dose of comments from our social media pages. A landlord who was stabbed several times by his tenant last week in Windhoek's Koreankap informal settlement has sadly succumbed to his injuries. The violent altercation, according to witnesses, broke out over outstanding rent payments. Madrina says that's how people act these days, adding that it should have been the other way around. Sylvester says the government is to blame for unemployment in the country, saying it's stressful. Nita says some people who are unemployed don't behave in the same way, adding that it's an individual choice. Kalome says people should be given land as they cannot afford to pay rent. While Bridget notes that life is just unexplainable. And that's all from Comments Corner. Be sure to post your comments on our social media pages for broadcast every day only on Today on 1.
Dear teachers, we know all the hard work you put in every day to make sure our kids get the best education possible. It's also our goal here at One Africa TV's #LearnOn1. That's why we bring free quality supplementary lessons that are 100% Namibian, compliments of NMH's MyZone. Lessons include early childhood development programs and primary school lessons. These air on One Africa TV every weekday from 9 to 11 a.m. with repeats from 2 to 4 p.m. There's so much to learn with #LearnOn1. Invite learning in.
There was a silence that connected us all. But the journey started long before that day.
Coach has a gift to be able to spot talent a mile away.
I think the family kind of feeling makes the athletes feel like they want to perform for him.
This is a match made in heaven. We just become one. There was difficult times. I said to the girls, we didn't do all this just for one hump to take us off track. We started talking about this journey, and the way we actually painted that journey is almost perfectly the way it ended.
We thought that maybe one of them will make the finals. Both of them make the finals, then the rest is history.
Quiet broken by the firing of the gun, and they're off.
And here comes Christine Bomber in second place. Will they do it today? Oh, of course! 21-81.
This one belongs to us all as one.
Castro Lumbu is standing by for today's sports update.
Welcome to a brand new week of Sports on One. I am your host, Castro Ulumbu. After a successful debut on the athletics world stage as a coach in Europe, Tokyo Olympic Games and the World Under-20 Championships in Nairobi, Kenya, Coach of the Year Hank Botha relived his 2021 journey with Today on One Sports Desk, as well as the 2022 plans with his teenage sprinters Christine Boma and Beatrice Masilingi. Today on One Sports has more on this story. The 2021 Sports Coach of the Year says he enjoys being involved with the younger athletes, noting that it is easier to train them unlike the older athletes. In an exclusive with Sports on One, coach and mentor Hank Botha looked back at a successful 2021 on the athletics track and described 2021 as a dream.
2021 is still a dream. It's almost unbelievable. I'm so proud of the two women. They did unexpectedly well, and even if you look at the results of Beatrice, I just want to emphasize on that. She's the third best ever under 18 girl in the world. So sometimes we tend to just see Boma, but Beatrice have done just as well. We started off with the first races in Namibia locally, off to South Africa. At that stage, both girls were already qualified for the 400. Then we went to South Africa and both qualified for the 200. We also did the event in Zambia, and then we went to Europe and we did all the events in Europe and off to Tokyo. And yes, there we are. We have a silver medalist in Namibia, and it's an 18-year-old girl called Christine Boma, and I'm so proud of her. What a wonderful person to know, and what a wonderful, for me, it's not only coaching the athlete on the track, it's also coaching them off the track. It's working with them as a person, trying to support them and trying to get the values right. And that's why I prefer working with younger athletes, because it's easier to grow together than to start to change somebody that's 24, 25. But for me, it's definitely that I want to coach the total package, not only the athlete. Yeah, maybe I can backtrack, but we had a plan when we started, and we made it a 12-year plan. And the first 3 years we had a plan, and that was part of it was to get to the Commonwealth Games. We didn't know they're going to postpone the Olympics, so Olympics just hopped into our plan. And obviously then this coming year we have Olympics. We have the World Champs in the USA. We have again the Junior World Champs in Colombia, South America, which is going to be big and huge because a lot of the Americans and other countries didn't come to Kenya.
Going forward, Botha highlighted some of the 2022 plans with the two teenage sprinting sensations, which include local championships where the Namibian public will be able to see the girls in action on home turf. Despite all the successes on the track, Mboma and Masilingi were also hit with news that they will not be able to take part in the 400-meter track race event, which is considered as their favorite event due to alleged high testosterone levels. Botha noted that he is working hard in order to sort out the issue at hand, adding that the team is currently focused on the 200-meter event.
Our plan is to have two events next year in Namibia. One of them will be one or two Grand Prix. Hopefully the one Grand Prix will not be in Windhoek. We don't want to do everything in Windhoek, but the national championships will be hosted in Windhoek, and then the girls will be running at the national championships here in Windhoek, and then we will be off to Europe. There's also a big possibility of hosting an international event here in Namibia. We're currently busy talking to the organizers and some sponsors, and it seems like it's going well. We have a lot of international athletes that wants to attend and come, so I'm very excited on that one. Yeah, the plan is actually getting back to training now. We had a lot of official stuff, and the girls rested well, and getting back to training, getting back to a very, very hard and difficult pre-season program. When we will be running in Namibia, I just want to tell the people that will not be close at 100% because we are planning for a long season. We want to see whether we can take on the rest of the world at the World Championships, and our dream is to have 1 and 2. As far as the 400 is concerned, rules are rules, and the current rule is they're not allowed to run. Whether we agree with it or not agree with it, obviously I don't agree with it. But as it is, the rule is there. The only way we will be able to run the 400 will be to change the rule or to change the girls. So I'm not going to allow the girls. It's their choice, but I don't think they must change their bodies. And obviously there is people that are fighting for the changement of the rules. I've spoken to different activists and lawyers, and all of these guys are fighting behind the scenes. I just believe to get into a mud fight now for the young girls, it's not good for them. It's not good for anybody to be involved with that. So we are doing our job on the track, and the lawyers can do their job in the courts.
Henk Botha and Olympic silver medalist Christine Boma both won big at the 2021 Namibia Annual Sports Awards, with Botha walking away with the Coach of the Year award, whilst Christine Boma scooped Sportswomen of the Year, Junior Sportswomen of the Year, as well as the Sports Star of the Year awards. And that is all we have for you tonight. Join us again tomorrow for Sports on One, and don't forget to follow us on our social media pages.
Thanks, Castro, for that update. Up next is the weather forecast.
A look at the weather forecast. The Namibia interior is sunny and hot to very hot in the south. Elsewhere, partly cloudy and hot to very hot. The coast, partly cloudy and cool to warm. And the wind, moderate to fresh southerly to southwesterly. Now we look at minimum and maximum temperatures across the country and beyond.
That's all we have for you. Do join us again for a repeat at 9:30 this evening, 6 a.m., and the Omnibus Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. From me, Isai Sipunga, and the rest of the team. Till next time, good night.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
The shortage of housing and service land in the Irongo region, compounded by the rapid growth in population and an increase in the disposable income of the population, has created demand for investment in housing. With an investment of over 268 million Namibian dollars from 2012 to date, the Government Institutions Pension Fund has enabled the construction of affordable housing units across the region. One of the investments made by the fund was in Kwamkomo Housing Development. Kwamkomo has so far developed 130 housing units, co-funded by Managing Infrastructure Development in Namibia and Environmental Investment Fund of Namibia in the Faceb residential area and in Walfish Bay. Owned by the late advocate Shakespeare Masiza's Kwamkomo investment, the housing development company is also currently busy constructing 180 affordable housing units at the same town, utilizing an investment of 84 million Namibian dollars.
I was born in Katutura, and we grew up in substandard housing, in social housing, and I realized that at one stage in my life I would also want to develop houses for our people, black people, that gives dignity and respect to our people. So yes, I grew up through social housing. I became a lawyer. I myself live in the suburbs, but then, you know, where I come from, there are still many people who live in substandard social housing. So I've realized that I need to do something. I have an obligation towards my community to lift up their dignity and give them proper housing.
The unique features of this development is that we are a seaside development. It's actually the last chance for us as black people to own a piece of land that is closer to the ocean. And that's why we have made a conscious decision from day one that we're going to make it decent, and we want to instill a sense of pride in our people, that they can now live close to the ocean, and the children can run around here and play, and that they don't have to, go far from home to enjoy, the beach and the sun and everything that comes with it.
So we see a lot of people happy every day. Obviously, this was not possible at all without the enthusiasm to bring our people, into better housing, dignified housing, but also with a funder like GIPF who understands that it's time for our people to understand and appreciate the independence and the benefits and fruits of independence that they bring. We are so happy that the majority of the people that actually bought from us here at Kwamkomo are government employees. who are also then beneficiaries of the very same pension fund. Most of them are police, most of them are teachers, and so GIPF makes money that goes back into a fund which is profitable for GIPF, and therefore the kind of funding for this project is therefore sustainable for GIPF too. So we have an absolute win-win in this kind of a project.
Omba Arts Trust is not just an organization for me. I think of it in the form of a person, a mother and a friend I have walked and grew with. A friend whom I've traveled many remote and dusty roads. A sister who provided so much needed support during times of fear and uncertainty. There is a saying in Damara for people such as Omba, which is which simply means someone who will, with love, exchange your lean piece of meat with their fat one. It might sound simple when translated, but when used towards a loved and appreciated person, it gives such honor. It describes a person who will do everything to make sure you are taken care of. Besides, we all know how the Damaras love their meat.
Nou, dit is Maria. Goed. Jy moet 'n bietjie meer reg wees, né? Soos die boere hulle mielies plant. Ja.
I have seen Omba grow and turn into a light of hope for Namibians all over Namibia. I have seen women and men grow as individuals, becoming respected members of their communities, but also valuable providers of their families. I have seen people with no hope in their eyes light up when they see Omba arrive to fulfill a promise which was made and which they did not believe will be kept. I have seen women dance and sing for hours until the dust from their feet covers us all because the old friend has arrived. I've seen women standing up in front of a large number of people and express their hopes and dreams. I've seen people who have never left their village travel hours and hours to other countries and share their culture and experiences. I have seen children grow and become young women and men before my very eyes. Omba has been the sister holding hands throughout it all. Omba has built valuable and strong relationship with communities, empowering both women and men, but the impact on women can be seen and felt most sincerely. The work with the women has such a ripple effect all over the whole village, most especially the young. Omba has taught them to fish. As times grow tougher and much more difficult, money becomes scarce. Environment around us changes and nothing will ever be the same again. In times like this is when we realize the value of a friend like Omba. It provides hope, constant support, reliable income, and keeping us all together, keeping our pots filled and our fires burning. A motivation to do better, live better, and expect better. If one day the unthinkable happens and Omba is no more, it will be a sad time for our Namibian rural population. Therefore, let's keep the light burning at all cost.
Ons die Sanmense is die eerste mense in die wêreld wat vandag agter gaan staan. Omba is nou die water wat vir ons nat maak. Dat onze wortels mooi groeien, dat ons vruchten kan brengen, kos kan brengen. Omba gee vir ons werk. En van daaraf leven ons.
It's just an amazing story that ostrich eggshell beads, 72,000 years ago, the ancestors of the San were making ostrich eggshell beads, and today in the 2020s Junko women are still making those beads pretty much in the same way, and the work has evolved from fairly traditional products. This probably would have been worn like this, into something as sophisticated and contemporary as this necklace from the waterfall range. So here we are bringing the necklace to this gallery in Windhoek, and it then gets sold to customers in Europe, in America, and generating income for women, Junko women back in the Kalahari. So it's just an amazing thread of history that goes to this ostrich egg, to this contemporary jewelry. This basket I absolutely love. It's a finely woven basket in natural dyes. This asymmetry is very unique to Namibian baskets, and we've been working with these women, doing workshops and helping them evolve into these incredibly fine baskets. We've worked with the women developing different palettes, and there's another one with a slightly more yellow palette, but considered are the best baskets in Africa. What we're showing you in this short video is really a long journey of working together with rural communities, reviving ancient traditions, turning them into contemporary world-class products, and supporting the livelihoods of over 400 artisans. Even during COVID-19, we've been helping our sand communities with food and distribution of tippy taps. What we need to do now is to honour the trust that has been put in us over the last 30 years, to support marginalised sand communities and the livelihoods of rural women around Namibia. Your donation will help us get our 400 artisans back to work as soon as possible so that they can feed their families. The lives of their 2,000 family members will directly benefit from this. Please help us raise $50,000 by contributing to the Omba Artisan C19 Support Fund. No matter how big or small, this